Welcome back to Kelly's Wild Adventures, everybody. Today we're in Frankenmuth, Michigan at the site of St. Lorenz Lutheran Church and Cemetery. There's a church and a cemetery on each side of the road. Now you'll hear some shrub cutters, some shrub clippers in the background. They're doing some maintenance at the church across the street. Let me turn the camera around and show you what we have. So what I mean when I say there's a church on each side of the street, this is the old church erected in 1852. There's a plaque on this rock. Let's go over here and read this. Site of St. Lorenz Frame Church, erected 1852. Enlarged 1864, in use until 1880. 4 corner markers designate corners of 40 foot by 74 foot building. So this is the old church, very small. And I'm going to show you the church across the street. That's the new version of the church. Look at that steeple. And if you look really close, you can see a cross on top of that steeple at the very top. So what's unique about this old building, this old church, is if you look to the right, here's the old cemetery. It's very well maintained. There was a gentleman out here this morning picking up, cleaning up. We're going to go over that way in a few minutes. But before we do, I want to pan the camera around to the left and show you a little bit more, if I can get a view of the cemetery on the other side next to the new church. That's the new church to replace the old. And we'll see if we can find some monuments describing more about the new church and the new cemetery right there. As I understand it, I'm pretty sure there's like 4,500 burial sites across the street in the new section. But for now, let's stick with the old church and the old cemetery. And then we'll walk across the street and see what we can come up with over there to video. So let's take a walk over this way. Not sure what that building over there is. It's in the dark, all the way in the middle of your screen. Probably kind of hard to see, but we're gonna go take a look at it. We're gonna do I was gonna do a shortcut, but I see a plaque on a rock up here that we should read. So we'll walk along this pathway. Very nice day, about 80 degrees here in Frankenmuth, Michigan. Probably reach 85 degrees. I'm gonna go into downtown Frankenmuth for lunch and get one of their famous chicken dinners. So this says, in memory of the Chippewa children of God resting here who perished in the smallpox epidemics of the early 1850s. Somebody left a card of Jesus Christ on this rock. I think I'll remove the leaf and the twig here. All right, let's continue on. Got some open field on the other side of this church and cemetery. Now, from my understanding, when I seen online that this monument used to be standing up and it fell during a windstorm, or a tornado, something to that effect. And it fell and broke in 3 pieces maybe. So they left it on the ground and decorated around it. And there's a plaque I just noticed on the ground referring to that. So we'll take a look at that in a minute. And I'm going to try to read this as I bring the camera down. Dedicated to the Indian people of the Chippewa Nation who made their home in what became the Frankenmuth area, and to Chief the Massacre, who greeted the German Lutheran missionaries and settlers in 1845 and urged them to teach my people the truth. All right, trying to keep my gimbal in focus here. May the spirit of their endeavors be with us and their descendants for all time. And at the bottom, here's the plaque about the tornado. On June 21st, 1996, a tornado struck Frankenmuth, doing a great amount of damage, splitting the sculpture into 3 pieces. The Indian Memorial Committee relocated it from Memorial Park to this final resting place. Interesting. Just a small little cemetery on this side. But I tell you what, the other side of the road, the new church, the newer cemetery, looks huge. Let's go see what this building is. Here, next to this little building, we have church bells in the forest. It says on this sign, please, no bell ringing during church service. Well, we're in business, folks. There's no church service going on right now. So I'm gonna end this segment of the video and get my tripod out, and I'm gonna ring the bell for us. Okay, so we're looking at the church bells in the forest and that building, and in between them is a big rock with a plaque on it describing what the building on the left is. So let's walk on up to that. We'll read it, and then we'll take a walk around this building, get a close-up view of it. It says, site of the first blockhouse in Frankenmuth, erected in 1845, used as church, parsonage, and Indian school. And there's a close-up view. It says, the log cabin. Now, let's back up and pan the camera to the left and get a good view of this. I'm going to start by looking in this window right over here. We'll see if we can get the camera to capture what's inside. The windows are pretty dirty. We'll see what happens. Okay, that's about the best I can get. Looks like there's some benches in there. a doorway. That might even be a fireplace to the far right. I can't tell. No. It's a chair and a pupil, some type of stand. Anyways, let's back up. It's too hard to get in there and get a view. But look at the detail to this log cabin. Now the sun is shining brightly, so I gotta make sure I don't blind us by putting the camera in direct view of the sun. We've got some benches out front. There's a doorway there, another bench. And if you look up by the roof, you can see these beams, these log beams. Isn't that cool? I'd like to live in a place like this. My own little log cabin. Here's a view of the front door. Not really much to it. We'll walk around to the other side now. The cemetery continues on this side. Here's a view of the east side of the log cabin with the sun shining upon it. We're gonna walk up to that window too. Put my camera right up to the window. Okay, so it's hard to see, but there's some pots and pans in there. And there's a doorway we seen from the other side. Okay, so that's about it. My gimbal gets in the way of putting the camera flat against the window, so that's all we get to see. But very cool. Here's the back side, which is the south side of the log cabin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the camera in just a moment and walk up to the street. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk across the street and get like some 10-second clips of some of those signs over there that describe this area and the church. If you look to the far left of your screen by that tree, you'll see a history sign. There's inscription on both sides of that, so I'm going to get some video of both sides. A little bit to the right of that tree, if you see that light pole, down at the bottom it says St. Lorenz. I'm going to get a 10-second video of that. And all the way to the right of your screen, there's a white sign with a cross. I'm going to get a 10-second video of that. Feel free to freeze the video and read those and then resume the video. So I'm sitting on the steps of the big church, the new church, looking across the street. That's the small church from 1852 and the small cemetery. I just wanted to get a shot of that for the camera. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna walk my way over that way to see if there's anything in the cemetery we should discover. And right about in the middle of your screen, right where that walkway is, that pathway, there's another plaque that we can read. I'm gonna pause the camera, let's go over to it. And once again, we can hear the hedge trimmers trimming the bushes, so that's not much we can do about it. There's not much we can do about it. It happens from time to time. So I'm not gonna read this because it's kind of hard to see through the camera with the sun shining on it. But go ahead and freeze the video and then feel free to resume. Just on the other side of this rock is the cemetery. Believe me when I tell you, it's huge. I think we're just gonna pause the video at this point. I'm gonna walk around, and if I see anything interesting, I'm gonna resume the camera, resume the filming. And after this, we're gonna make our way into downtown Frankenmuth. I haven't seen too many cemetery headstones like this. Pretty unique. I found a headstone with the name Zehnder on it, and the big chicken dinner restaurant, one of the two, is called Zehnder's in Frankenmuth. I wonder if these people are related. Another tombstone with the name Zehnder. And yet another tombstone with the name Zehnder. You can't help but notice these Zehnder names right away because, like I said, one of the two big restaurants in downtown Frankenmuth is called Zehnder's. The other big restaurant is across the street. It's called Bavarian Inn. I almost got chills down my spine when I read this name. I no further walked just a few feet and I seen this name, Voorhees, which also sent chills down my spine. Well, that's it, folks, for the cemetery. Let's get into downtown Frankenmuth. I'm hungry. I want to show you my food. Now, before I show you my food, I want to show you the Cheese House mouse. And I want to show you Bigfoot and a couple other things around downtown. I'll never be able to show it all to you, everything there is to do in Frankenmuth. There's so many attractions, you have to come here for yourself and see it. But directly in front of you is the River Place shops. You can get all kinds of different souvenirs and popcorn, different places to visit and shop. Over here you would have the riverboat. You can take a ride on. It's not there right now, it must be out. But it docks right in the center of your screen over there. You pay probably something like 12 bucks, I'm guessing. And it takes you on a cruise down the river. And then it comes back and drops you off. Straight ahead is a covered bridge with a car coming out of it. So here's Frankenmuth's Bavarian Inn, one of the two big restaurants in Frankenmuth. Now, directly across the street from the Bavarian Inn is the Zehnder's famous chicken dinners restaurant. I'll zoom in so you can see it better. That's where we're headed, folks. I'm going to show you how delicious their food is. Feel free to pause the video, then resume when you're ready. So look at what they start you off with. Some chicken noodle soup. They've got some coleslaw, some fresh bread, some jelly for the bread. Looks like some type of harder bread, firmer bread with some 3 different types of, I don't know what. I know the yellow is like a cheddar type spread. Now I did send back the cottage cheese. I didn't really want that, so I didn't want to waste it. I sent it back. So this is an all-you-can-eat chicken dinner. So they brought me some chicken, some mashed potatoes, some stuffing, some noodles with some crumbled topping, an ear of corn, and some gravy. This is like $31.99. All you can eat. And they top it off with ice cream. Thanks for watching Kelly's Wild Adventures, everybody. Have a great day.